Welcome to another episode of Progress, Potential, and Possibilities, discussions with fascinating people designing a better tomorrow for all of us. I'm your host, Ira Pastor.
Welcome, everybody, again to another episode of our show. Today, bringing a very exciting guest involved in creating a better tomorrow for many people out there. Today on the show, we have the honor of being joined by Kurt Avery, who is the president and founder of Sawyer Products. Sawyer is a leading provider of high-performance outdoor protection products. They specialize in everything from water filtration, which we'll be talking a lot about today, to insect repellents, sunscreens, first aid solutions. The company was founded back in 1984, and they're committed to safeguarding individuals from various threats, microscopic and larger, in both wilderness and everyday settings. And their innovative products utilize really advanced technologies. As an example, really interesting time-release liposome insect repellents to ultimately ensure effective and long-lasting protection. Beyond the company's product development, Sawyer is deeply invested in social responsibility, partnering with over 140 nonprofits across 80 countries around the world to provide clean water solutions to various underserved communities. Before founding Sawyer, Kurt served as a marketer for several very large, globally known brands, and again is passionate about and it's creating these disease-free water situations for communities around the world. Graduated at Hope College and then went to Northwestern University Kellogg School of Management, and is also an accomplished author with his book Sawyer Think: How a Small Company Disrupts Markets and Changes the World, available in major booksellers. A lot of very exciting topics to get into today. I'm really honored to have him with us. Kurt Avery, welcome to our show.
Well, thank you for having me. It's quite a intro. I can live up to it.
No, you're doing quite a bit. So no, I'm very excited to have you with us today. I enjoyed reading all about you prior to this episode, and I'd love to go back a bit to sort of the early days. And there's a great story you talk about. You're hanging out doing marketing at some of these large Fortune 500 companies, very comfortable, but then you get bitten by the entrepreneurial bug, and you talk about going home one night and saying, to your wife, I'm going to get involved in the snake bite kit business. And I'd love to hear, the beginning of that and how Sawyer was created, because it's actually a pretty cool story.
Yeah, well, God's been with us the whole way, so those are interesting things. One of my associates that I graduated with Northwestern from had come from France with this kit that is a quick sudden suction, and they did it for bee stings. It was actually invented at the Pasteur Institute, but it does snake bites too. And in the U.S., you have a big snake bite market. So sounds crazy, but it's still in Walmart today after 40 years. So it wasn't quite so crazy. A quick sudden suction is an interesting concept medically. So, but yeah, we did that. I was doing some good stuff, and I kept listening to the president, taking full credit for everything I did. And I said, well, I know how this works now. I get it. I might as well go do my own thing, because we're not gonna, I mean, I made some huge things for these companies, and I said, well, that's the way we're going to do it. That's the way we're going to do it. So I had the itch, and I went, and it was rough. I mean, I always say we lost money 23 of the first 25 years till we became an overnight success, so it took a while, but that's all in the book. Um, so yeah, it's been quite the journey actually. Um,
It's really interesting because it's you're along the 25 years, you're getting the kits out there, you're listening to the market and getting involved in, again, everything from sunscreens to insect repellents. What was the point where you started looking at water technology? I mean, there's a lot that I think you came to the realization that sort of connected to thinking about kidney dialysis, that hey, if we can clean blood pretty well, we can clean water. What was the beginning of that? And then we'll go a little into sort of what you've developed there in terms of the different
yeah,
technologies.
we
But talk about
we
that.
were having success. Like we said, we had some very good insect repellents, and that's, really what got us up and solvent. We treat the clothes. The military still uses our stuff. I mean, we treat all the uniforms and that kind of thing.
Yep.
We had some Gulf War stuff, but what we did is we would go listen. We'd go sit in the stores and tell them about what do you need? What are your problems? What are your biggest things? And water filtration was a clunky thing.
Hmm.
And so we headed down that path. But I sat there for a while and I said, all right, I had a great religious background and everything. And I said, God, half the world dies of mosquito bites and bad water. So why don't we just go solve that? We meaning him, of course, but that's what we chased water filtration, water chemical flocculations and all kinds of stuff for about 3, 4 years until we came across this technology and had its own little God moments within this. But the filter we have now is amazing. Nobody's copied it in 20 some years. We're all about out there by ourselves. You can't get sick. We take everything out. Every
Yeah.
biological, it's zero point 0.1 micron absolute, and there's nothing smaller than that other than viruses. Viruses really aren't in the water, so you don't have to worry
Right.
about them. And you just clean it. So these things last 10, 10, 15 years. We got some in Honduras on year 16 now.
Yep.
And it comes down to maybe 20 cents to give one person clean water for 10 years. I mean, we're down to just 20 cents a person. It's
Mhm.
amazing. So we're launching it now. We just launched a new, we've connected with OAS, which is the Organization of American States. And we've connected with them. They love our stuff. We did some pilots with them, so they won't do anything without us anymore. But right now we're going to do the 3 countries, mostly Honduras, but also El Salvador and Guatemala. And we're going to go border to border. We've done 5 countries border to border already. Big one, Libya, a lot of small ones on the Ring of Fire, Fiji and Vanuatu and Marshall Islands and all that kind of stuff. Nobody's sick anymore. It's gone, just gone. And so we're going to start tackling Central American countries one by one, knock them off because we can do it. It doesn't take much. I mean, at 20 cents a person, it's not, you can do 15 million people fairly cheaply. And so that's what we do. We can't take it with us, so we're gonna, no U-Hauls in heaven. We're going to just do this with what we got, and the whole company's pretty dedicated to just doing this. And eventually, I think others will follow us. I mean, why can't we do the whole world? Won't be
Right.
us, but it'll be other people. I think there's other big companies capable of following our technology. The little ones can't. They don't know what we're doing, and they don't have the technology to follow us. But somewhere down the road, the Siemens and the GEs, if the market gets big enough, they'll jump in. But we do it all. We do it all at a loss right now. We don't make any money on this.
Right.
We've done some big slums, 400,000 people with 76 toilets. And now, since we've been there for a couple of years, they're closing the medical clinics. There's just not enough sick people anymore. So it's some pretty cool stuff. And we documented it all. It's in medical journals.
Yeah, I mean, let's, for the audience's sake, let's talk a little bit of the scope of this, what we'll call the water crisis, because I mean, the numbers here are staggering to say the least. I mean, the somewhere around 750 million people that just don't have any access to clean water as we sit here in 2025. I did actually a show a couple of years ago with this toilet board organization that was just talking about that aspect of it, that The amount of
It's the
people that
other
still have
half.
access. Yeah, I
Exactly.
mean, just open air, whatever. There's no, in terms of the sanitation and all that. Say a couple words about it, because this is not obviously you're talking about people like other people getting involved here. I mean, there's a lot to get involved here in. I mean,
Right.
obviously you're showing the way, but this is not a small problem in 2025. We're talking large
No, but
amounts of people.
we're making it a whole lot smaller,
Right.
because, you're talking 20 cents a person. I mean, so that on a big scale, you can do a whole lot of people
Sure.
for some money. But we do the whole thing. I mean, we teach them the hygiene part of it too.
Okay.
So you got to do both. So when we go in there and we give them the filters, but the first thing off is you take all the biological contaminants out. So
Mhm.
now the kids aren't going to die. We're in a village where they wouldn't name their kids till they're 3 years old,
Yeah.
because that way they know they live. So they're losing a third of their kids before they get there. So we bring in the filters, and now they name them at birth because they don't lose kids anymore. Um, but the water does more than just that. It's got so many, other than you're not going to be sick. It allows kids to go to school.
Yeah.
It allows parents to work 30 extra days a year. Parents are hydrated, so their brains are working. If you ever watch the show Survivor, you know what it's like in the early days when they didn't let them have water. You can't think straight.
Yeah.
It cuts down the food. Kids can lose a third of their nutrients to parasites, and those are all gone. You don't, we save them between 10 and 20% of their income, because they don't have to buy what's called improved water.
Okay.
And even improved water is going to make you sick. So we've made it, I don't care if you drink with the cow's poop or if you got improved water, we're going to make it safe. And then we also, you don't have to buy fuel. I mean, we're the greenest thing on the planet. We've
Yeah.
calculated each one of these filters can save up to 200 trees a year, or fossil fuels, because you're not boiling water to make it safe. So it's a huge whole thing. Changes the relationship between the families, between the mother who spent so much of her day taking care of water now has an extra 3 hours a day to do whatever.
Hmm.
Uh, they can start businesses. They got people with clean water now can cook food, which they couldn't before because their water wasn't good enough. We're stopping the girls from having to go fetch the water and put themselves in risky positions.
Hmm.
We document all this stuff. It's been published in medical journals, so it's on our website. You can go see these results.
Yeah.
But we even found in Kibera, you would never walk down the streets during the day, but now it's no problem. All the gangs have settled down because they're not fighting over everything. They've made peace. You can just walk down the streets in Kibera, which is one of the worst slums in Africa.
Yeah.
And you don't need an armed guard. You don't need anything. You just walk down the streets because it's that much safer now. So the impact is a holistic thing, that all these things happen because you have clean water
Yeah.
and abundant clean water. Because if you only have a little bit of clean water, it's called water scarcity and water security.
Okay.
So water security, I mean, in the early days, people would take these filters to bed with them so they didn't get stolen. But now we do whole communities and stuff like that. The medicine, you just stop the medicine. You don't have diarrhea. Can you imagine
Yeah.
diarrhea when no toilets and kids don't have diapers? Just think about diarrhea taken off the plate. So
Yeah.
you live like an American over there. It's a holistic thing. There's so many things more involved than just when you give them clean water. Just a whole
Yeah.
life-changing thing.
I was again, I was impressed by that point, because I was reading about the 200 trees. I'm like, how does this save trip? And then the whole concept of, hey, you don't have to cut down the trees anymore to burn, to boil water and all that. So no, that's the pieces of it that we don't, I guess, normally think about, but it's extremely impressive. Um, I mentioned in the intro, you've developed these relationships with something like 140 NGOs now. You're in, in Kenya and Kibera, and you're in the Marshall Islands, you're in Honduras. Talk a little bit about how the Sawyer Foundation sort of puts these relations together, how you choose what organizations to work with. Walk us through a little bit of how all
Yeah.
this got set up, because it's a pretty extensive network that you have now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you mentioned the easy places. We're in North Korea, we're in Iran, we're in Gaza, we're in
Okay.
Yemen, everybody has to have water. And you just think of North Korea, they don't mind. We're coming in and solving a problem they don't have to solve. Our filters require no infrastructure. Nobody has to build water treatment plants or delivery systems or whatever. Whatever you're drinking now, we'll make it safe. So you don't have to pipe thing anyway. So it's really we're very much welcomed wherever we go. So uh yeah, the Haiti earthquake kind of put us on the map.
Mm-hmm.
We connected with Compassion International and sent down, I don't know, what, 75,000, and then other people, maybe another thing. We had 100 120,000. We actually started a factory down there. And I mean, the number of lives we saved in the Haiti earthquake, it was staggering. And actually, when they wrapped it up, the Minister of Health or whatever had a little conference with 30 of us who came with water solutions. And at the end, he asked everybody what they actually used. And it didn't matter what they sold, they all personally used the Sawyer filter. So it was like, aha, I get it, you know. And so that put us on the map. All the NGOs that were there saw it. And so that started the whole ball rolling. Now we're everywhere. Whenever there's an earthquake or hurricane coming, um, cyclones, monsoons, we're always there. We're there. Our
Mm-hmm.
cholera outbreaks, we stop that right in this track. One day it's gone. It's just gone.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, you could be healthy in the morning and dead in the afternoon with cholera. That's how fast
Right.
it is. But
Right.
we take it out very simply. So we have quite a reputation. I don't think you could ever have a natural disaster around the world where we aren't already, if it's a hurricane, we go in ahead of time. We have charities that go in there. You can do anywhere from 20 to 100,000 people in one duffel bag. So they
Hmm.
go in, hunker through the hurricane, and we're up. You remember seeing all those bottles of water sitting on the tarmac in Puerto Rico?
Yep. Yep.
They didn't need them. We were there. We beat them to it. These things only weigh a couple of ounces. So people brought them in, and I think there was one time at least a third of the Puerto Ricans were drinking out of our filters.
Mm-hmm.
And another hurricane comes by 3, 4 years later, they still got those filters. They get them out and use them again. So it's quite an impact. So uh, we're pretty much the filter everybody's going to use. There's other filters out there, but you know they'll eventually all end up with us.
Mm-hmm.
We're wasting. We're not just a filter. We have a QR code, and with the QR code, you can learn how to use it on a smartphone. We have instructions in local languages and dialects, and it's all animated. And we have a WhatsApp, so if you have a question, you can ask us, and we take it in. We'll answer your questions for you. So it's a whole system. We have tracking and everything, so we get measurements. A lot of the big donors, they want to know if their money's being spent well.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I can tell you that we can do it for 20 cents a person, but now I can show you that we did it for 20 cents a person. And that means, okay, that's a good investment for my dollar. And so that we have the whole thing. It's not just a filter. It's the
Right.
whole, we have to teach them how to do everything. We have to teach them hygiene, what's called wash principles.
Yep. Yep.
So it's the whole system. Now, it's taken us a long time to get there. I probably put maybe 10 or more million dollars into building this whole system, but it's there now. We're ready to go. Literally
And
launching this next month.
yeah, no, it's so impressive. I just again for the audience, and obviously we'll put a link to everything we're talking about in the show notes. But you know, you have the range. I mean, obviously talk about the filter, but you have the range of these products, everything from straws to bottles to jugs to these giant bags and buckets. I mean, are they all? I mean, you use all these tools. I mean, if you, again, you mentioned Haiti, but you've also been, you know, in
Yeah.
Pakistan and Brazil and Indonesia during these major disaster events and in disaster zones. I mean, what's the sort of the full package that you bring to the, you know,
Yeah.
when you're called up, say, okay, let's go. Talk about
Right.
that a little bit so they
Yeah,
understand.
we had, well, for even domestic too, there were 100,000 filters distributed during Helene. You know,
Right, right, right.
we were connected with the hiking community. We had filters up to places where cars weren't going to go for another month, you know, and the helicopters, whatever. Our hikers took filters up to the homes. They
Mm-hmm.
just drank out of the streams. That's what they do in the hiking community. So we have 4 systems, one specifically designed for natural disasters. That's a filter on a pouch, but we find it depends on your water source. I mean, if you're really, really remote, we have kind of a system where you you fill a bucket and then you go through the filter and then you
Right.
keep cleaning it. If it's in a city, we have the biggest one out there now is a tap filter. That's brand new. We just brought that out a couple months ago. Just put it on your tap. Whatever's coming through your tap is now
Hmm.
safe. And then we also have one that you can just screw on a bottle, which is what the hikers do. You just take it and you just literally take a pop bottle, Pepsi, Coke, Smart Water, whatever, you screw it on, just drink whatever's, how simple is that? And that's actually very low cost. We were surprised, and we just did a project in Ciudad Victoria with 400,000 people, and people wanted to trade the tap filter for the flexibility of the filter on just on top of a bottle.
Mm.
They would rather do that. They would rather, 2-liter bottle, 16-ounce bottle, because you can go anywhere. If a tap filter, you're stuck with the tap. You're not going anywhere. I mean, of course, you can pump out 200 gallons a day, but and that's really low cost. I mean, we're talking, you get those on Amazon for $13 and it'll last you for 10 years. So we've got it down. So what we do, we have the three primary ways to go in and change the lives. So
Hmm.
depending on your water source, we'll fit the system to your water source, but it's always the same technology. It's just the delivery system.
Got it. And you've been talking, I mean, some major numbers here. Yeah, but what it comes down to is Sawyer, it's 90% of your current profits that you donate to these initiatives. Say a couple words about that as well, because that's, yeah,
Yeah.
again, we hear about obviously corporate responsibility and all this stuff, but I mean, you're really, you're doing it in a major way here.
Yeah, and we use that because that's what people can understand, but it's actually a whole lot more than that because we write it off before it gets to the profit line, so we really don't make profits. But we do have to some to keep the bank happy. But those profits end up in the foundation anyways. So,
Right.
yeah. I mean, my wife and I were very happy. We're not worried about it. We're fine. So what else are you going to do with it, right? So we have
Right.
ways that we can use it for research. We can make donations. We can do so. We actually write a lot of it off before it even becomes profit. So but public would never understand that. It's kind of related in the book. So we just use the 90%, but it's actually a lot higher than that. The foundation was set up because, when I exit the market, that's how our little marketing phrase, sooner or later, the brain will give out or the body will give out. The stock goes to the foundation. So the foundation will take control, kind of like Hershey Foundation owns Hershey
Sure.
chocolate. So that way, because, we could sell this thing, but why? I mean, somebody would want just the profits. They'd screw this whole thing up. So the foundation, which and the way the foundation works is Sawyer covers all the overhead. So any donation to the foundation goes 100% straight out to the field.
Hmm.
Sometimes, since we're every 80 countries, if you have a area of the world you're more interested in, if you want Central America, South America, anywhere, you can almost designate where you'd like us to do. We got 140 charities to choose from. And we give away a lot of filters. This Honduras project, we're donating 150,000 filters, and in this case, just 1 million in cash. But other people will jump in. We have other projects too, but that's just the Honduras project. So we can get a lot done. We're going through the schools. We start with the schools. They teach the kids. Then the parents come in and they teach the parents. And we have follow-ups, and then we're going to go through the churches and community centers and put up water stations. So anybody who wants to can come to the church and fill up their jerry can or whatever, because we got water stations, just pumping that out. And then eventually we just start passing them out.
Hmm.
Anybody has a smartphone can learn how to put it out. But I think in 5 years it'll be like the cell phone where everybody's going to have one. I mean,
Hmm.
I mean, these things are less than $10. Why wouldn't you get clean water? I mean, some of these people spend, we're going to see they spend $400 a year to get clean water. And for 20 bucks, it's over.
Yeah.
And you got that much more money to spend. So I think it'll take on its own life once we kick it in gear.
Hmm. Yeah. Again, really impressive.
It's fun.
So yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. And I saw, and, before you were talking about obviously all the things in terms of the bacteria and the chemicals, and even get rid of microplastics, which is it's just such a hot topic now everywhere.
Right.
What else? I mean, the foundation obviously has the technology, but you also have these different grant applications, and clearly everything that Sawyer is involved in. Putting aside that once you solve it. if you solve water tomorrow, a lot of what you're doing can help with other. I mean, what you're talking about, malaria or all these other zoonotic diseases
Yeah.
that are spread by insects. What else are you thinking about at the foundation? Obviously, you're thinking a lot about water, but you touch a lot of other things too.
Yeah, well, we do the clothing treatments. You know the mosquito nets where they're treated
Yep.
and all that. We actually invented that.
Yep.
Now, other people use it because all that stuff's wide open, and we're happy to have them use it. So we got that side of it. Malaria is a problem. It's a serious problem. So
Yeah.
we're poised that we can do some of that too. Um, I don't think water is going to go away as a problem for a while. Not in any, I don't see us even with all the other help coming along having that knocked out in the next 10, 20 years. But also now we're very evangelically religious too.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
this is something, God has a lot to do with it. I have stories. There's so many God stories in this thing, it's crazy. So I don't see it as anything we did. I think it's something we've done with it. But I was thinking the other day when we're going through church, this is God has allowed bad bacteria to be out there forever
Yep.
since Genesis. And if we take it off the table, how does that not change the whole relationship that God has with humanity? I mean, it's just, how much of people, you already said, how many billion people have to deal with bad water every day, and then all of a
Yep.
sudden they don't, you know, what does that say about our relationship with God? That's going to change. This is one of the biggest medical breakthroughs that you can think of. I mean, name a bigger one.
Right.
Antibiotics, maybe they're up there, but it's right there.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to change the whole way people relate to each other. We've seen that in villages where peace breaks out.
Yeah.
So I don't know where it's going, but it's not my job to decide.
Yeah.
If God didn't want us to put this out there, he'd have closed the doors a long time ago. So he's ready for this to be out there. And it's going to change the way everything works, our relationship with each other and our relationships with him. And he's apparently ready for it. How's that for a big God?
Yeah. No, that's definitely big. I mean,
Yeah.
you relayed the story, and I'll just mention it again about the missionary in Uganda and the naming of the children. Which we didn't do this because everyone was dying, and now we can actually name our children because they're living, and this is this is a very important thing. Other stories like that that you can share with us today, Kirby. That I mean,
Um,
clearly that's a blessing on its own, but
yeah, on
any
on
stories like
on
that?
another note, I don't know if this was Kenya or Uganda. I mean, we have lots of these stories, obviously, but um, there was a orphanage, and they
Okay.
brought our people in, and they said, "Look at these two big cauldrons." We would on the one on the right, we'd boil vast amounts of water for drinking, and the one on the left, vast amount of water for cooking.
Okay.
But there's no flame anymore. We don't need to do that because the filters are here.
Uh-huh.
So think of the amount of energy consumed every day to boil all those two big cauldrons. And now we're not using any wood, we're not using propane, whatever. So just the energy impact of this thing is staggering. And if you've seen the pictures of Hispania, you got Dominican Republic on one side, on the east, and the Haiti on the left. It's
Yep.
all green, all brown. Why? Because in Haiti they had to cut all the trees down. Well, that's mudslides, or go to Nicaragua. I mean, those create mudslides when you don't have foliage in place and the water shows up. So um, no, stuff like that is amazing. Another
Yeah.
one, Christmas Island. We just did this one about 2 months ago.
Okay.
Fishing village. So a fishing village, because it's world-class fishing down there. So people would come in, and they had two camps, and each camp would buy 38,000 bottles of water a year because the tourists weren't going to drink the local water. They don't really have a good source of the local water other than catching the rain and stuff. And
Right.
that always has problems in it because you got bird poop and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So they were paying $1 a piece. So $38,000 per camp to get enough water for the fishermen and the staff. And the staff still lost 20% of them couldn't work because they had problems, physical diarrhea and stuff like that. So they put in a couple of filters, just a couple of them. They don't have to buy any more water. I mean, you're talking less than $100 worth of filters saves them $38,000 a year. And they have to dispose of all those plastic bottles, which they burn because they don't have any other way to get them off the island.
Mm.
So for a couple $100, look at the environmental impact
Yep.
on that. So there's so many facets to this thing.
Yeah. Amazing how again these little things can have such a downstream impact, but it's again it's extremely impressive. I forgot to mention when I mentioned the Sawyer Thank You, which is your book. You offer many tips for businesses or inspiring entrepreneurs to how ultimately they can try to recreate in their business model what you've done at Sawyer. And I just if some top line advice you can give to any entrepreneurs listening to this show about what it really takes to combine business, because obviously you have business success, but this is social impact, and I can't think of many groups that have successfully combined them like you have at this scale. For aspiring entrepreneurs that are listening that want to sort of recreate what you're doing, tips, advice, any other important pieces of thought while we have you today.
Well, the book came out of something we do internally. I used to have what I call Grasshopper U. You have much to learn, Grasshopper. So I would bring in summer interns, and we have our own people. And these are all these tips, the 25 business tips are all stuff that I do. I'm even doing them right now. I got a class going now with our employees. And so the whole concept there, and some are, they're not that complicated. Some are a little more than others, but creative destruction, looking ahead 5 years from
Sure.
now, decision matrix, so you don't get unintended consequences because you should have thought of them long before they became unintended. So little tips like that. And the purpose is to make your business better and more profitable. I've had people describe it as an MBA in 200 pages. There's just a lot of little tips in there, very practical. Not the beauty of the book. I had a ghost writer because I'm not a wordsmith, but he didn't understand business at all. So we had to break it down into very understandable language because he was a writer, not a business person. I'm a business
Right.
person, not a writer. So by the time you put it together, it was actually communicable. You can understand it. So with that, if we can make your business more profitable, you don't understand the choices that you can make to improve your community.
Yeah.
Bakers have leftover bread, and restaurants, but more than just that, you have buying power
Right.
because you're buying at wholesale or better than wholesale. So everybody, and then you can start community food banks and community thing, or, whatever business you're in, there's a thing called BAM, Business as Ministries. These people go down and teach people in other countries how to do accounting, how to do, banking, how to start factories, you go down there and you have skills. Everybody has skills. You can use them here to pass along. You can start building and others join you and others join you. What if you had a restaurant and then all of a sudden 10 other restaurants joined you?
Right.
You have buying power, not just your leftovers, but you have buying power to share. You can change communities. So that's the purpose. Let's get you a little more profitable, and then let's show you how to use your resources and what you have.
Yep.
So that was the purpose of the book.
No, it's again, it's we will put the link in the show notes to the book as well. But it's extremely impressive, Kurt, I gotta say, and I appreciate not just the story, but the scale and the scope of what's going on with this in 2025, and that you're finding ways to address such a major problem as you're pointing out. I can't think of too many things that are bigger than clean water.
Yeah.
But
It wasn't like I was a genius that thought of it. It just kind of fell on us because, I said, oh, well, we can do this.
God
On
bless
the
you.
book, it's obviously very inexpensive at Amazon, you can buy
Mhm.
electronic, whatever. But if you do go to Sawyer.com and you want to order it there, you will get a signed copy. So if that means
Cool.
anything, but it's probably going to be $19 there. But Amazon, I think it's 16 and the electronic 10. So
Got it. Got it.
whatever. We're just trying to help. Nothing. All proceeds go to the foundation.
Mhm.
That's nothing I'm after.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
The
No,
one and
very
only. No sequels.
really impressive. Kurt, while we have you, I really do appreciate your time. Anything else coming up that we should know about? I mean, obviously you got many locations. You have the grant program. You got the book out there. Did I miss anything? Anything coming up for 2026 while we have you today, or anything you wanted to mention?
Well, we still bring out new products all the time in the camping
Mhm.
world,
Right.
and all of our products, if it's got the name Sawyer on it, it's the most technically advanced product out there. Whether it's a repellent, we do the clothes, keep the bugs away. Our sunscreens are like a cult product. We don't try to compete with the big names, but everything that we put, we won't do it any other way. There's no reason to. I mean, I don't need Me Too products. So we've
Right.
been very fortunate to have good technology. And we get it because I told our kids, you only have one asset. You really boil it down, you have one asset in life, and that's your integrity.
Yeah.
Don't ever give it up. You give it up, you'll be like King David, wishing, you're in trouble. But so we do that. So, and because of that, inventors have brought their products to us. So we've been able to stay at the cutting edge of all these products because of that. So, uh,
Awesome.
and then, of course, obviously, the proceeds go to the foundation
Mm.
and to the donations. But we're having a blast. I mean,
Sounds like it. It sounds
yeah,
like it, and and
yeah.
and, and have an impact. So
Took us 40
really.
years to get here, but it's fun now. I have good people. It's not me. I have some of the best people in the industry. Why would you not want to work for Sawyer? I pay generously because we can,
Right.
but we're changing the world. I mean, how would you not want to work at a place like that?
Yep. Absolutely.
So I got good
Absolutely.
people. It's not
Excellent.
me. I don't do much anymore. I rely on my people. I delegate, but
Yeah. God bless you. It's very impressive. Um, again, for everybody out there that is going to be listening to this episode of the show across the various podcast networks, or who's going to be watching on the YouTube channel, again, you've been spending time with Kurt Avery, founder, president of Sawyer Products, founder of the Sawyer Foundation. Pick up a copy of the book Sawyer Think: How a Small Company Disrupts Markets and Changes the World. Doing really amazing things to bring clean water to communities around the world and change people's lives. And that's the message of our show as well. So, Kurt, I want to thank you for taking the time to walk us through everything you've been doing the last 40 years. Thank you for what you do, and as we like to say on our show, thanks for helping to create a better tomorrow for billions of people out there via what you do. Really an awesome story.
well, I appreciate it.